Now, why you can't rotate in the downswing is because of one of these 6 reasons, and I'll give you a fix for all these 6 reasons. And none of these have got anything to do with your athleticism or mobility. It's all your golf swing. Let's get into the first one. So number 1, your setup is terrible. So 2 things here in your setup. 1, your left foot position, and 2, your posture. So left foot position first. What we see, so many golfers who cannot rotate no matter what they do in that downswing, you'll see them set up to the golf ball like this with a dead straight left foot with their toe pointing in front. Essentially what you're doing here, you're closing off your left hip capsule to the amount that you can rotate. So if I try and rotate as much as I can with that left foot dead straight, so let's say I just rotate as much as I can, that's as much as I can go before I hit a brick wall. So what I'd want people to do instead for the fix of this would be to open up that left toe. Really make sure that left toe is pointing out, flaring that foot, because immediately you open up that hip capsule. So straight away there, you can start to turn way more. Now this is about where I'm hitting the brick wall in my mobility. Look how much more rotation that is. So if you're not flaring that foot out, you're not even giving yourself the slightest hope of being able to rotate. So the second part of the setup, and that is posture. I see so many golfers set up to the golf ball like this, where their pelvis is way behind them, they're really hip hinging, and they've got their armpits in front of their toes. What this is going to do is you turn back in the backswing, your weight is now going to go into your toes because the mass of your upper body is too far forward. So what we'll see most golfers do, if they try to rotate, and let's say they successfully rotate, the weight's going to be so far on the toes, they're just going to fall forward. Don't generally see that happen though. What you see is golfers start to early extend. You'll see them with their upper body start to move up because then the upper body gets more in line with the lower body. It's easier for the body to balance. But if you do that, you're not going to be able to rotate at the same time. So you'll hit again that brick wall. And for the fix for this, I want to see players in this type of posture. I want to see them with their pelvis a little bit more tucked underneath. I want to see their armpits more on the balls of their feet. So right around kind of shoelaces region, bottom of the shoelaces. And then just have that very slight round of the upper back here. So this will really make you function so much better in your golf swing, because then as you make a full turn up to the top, you can way easier get that weight and that pressure transferring into that right heel, and now your upper body is already on top of the lower body. You're not so displaced in front. It's so much easier to keep your posture and your balance going through the shot. It is just such a surefire way to set yourself up to be able to rotate way better. So number 2, your club face is either too open or too closed. So let's go to open first. This is so common. I would say 90% of students that send in lessons to me who can't rotate, have tried everything, and their club face is like this, wide open. So if you have a massively open club face and you keep that club face open in your swing, if you rotate, so somehow magically you rotate from there, you are going to present such an open club face, you'll be unreal, you'll hit the ball off the planet right. But what your body will actually do from there, your rotation will slow, so you can do this. You can throw an early release it. That's where a lot of your early releases come from, open club face. Your body rotation has to stop to be able to do that. And why the early release happens is because it squares up the club face. So absolutely don't want to do that. Closed club face players, you'll see some players here with a club face looking dead straight down to the ground. And then from there, maybe they're trying to be like Dustin Johnson. And now, when you've got a club face that is this closed, if you haven't got Dustin Johnson's speed and athleticism, you will most likely have to stand the body up to be able to square the club face. Because if you don't get as open or rotate as fast as Dustin Johnson, you won't get that club face squaring up just via rotation. Mere mortals will have to stand their body up because that raises the hands up, which then squares the face, makes it point more down towards a target for a closed face. So the fix for this, 1, make sure your grip is okay. Let's say on the closed club face side, so many players are bought into gripping it super strong. That can very much have some huge downsides to it. And some players will be gripping, let's say for an open club face, it very weak. So basic standard advice that can hit a lot of golfers out there watching. Make sure your grip is nice and standard will be good advice there for you. So making sure you're seeing 2.5 knuckles on that left hand, and with that right hand, the V between the thumb and the meter hand, that line is going up towards right shoulder. Make sure that grip is nice and standard, and make sure you're doing this little takeaway drill here. So get to shaft parallel to the ground, make sure your hands are about a fist distance from your right leg, and make sure that club face is matching your spine angle. So it's just slightly toed down. That's nice and square. So if my club face is now nice and square, now I can swing up and swing through, and that will allow me to be able to rotate better through the shot, because I don't have to do anything to get the club face squaring in relationship to my target going through the golf ball. So number 3 is a lack of lead arm and hand depth. So what do I mean by that? And this destroys your rotation. So if I get up to the top of my swing, vertically just lift my hands and arms straight up to where you can see all of my right shoulder. Look how vertical my lead arm is. And you can see my hands, where the button of the club is, it's really down around kind of like my shoelaces region again. So if I try to now rotate from here and I somehow magically successfully do that, the club is going to massively fly over the top, because rotation has a little outward force on the hands also. When I rotate, you can see how the hands are going to follow. So golfers who have this position, what they typically will do there, they might be over the top, but for a stall out rotation player, they'll most likely subconsciously drop the hands down aggressively to make sure the path doesn't get too excessive. But your body is going to prioritize dropping those hands down in that short space of time that you're performing a downswing over rotation. So they're going to drop the hands down. By then you're going to be pretty much square onto the golf ball with no rotation at impact. You're just going to flip through the golf ball. So what you want to do from there, you need to get yourself more around. You need to get these hands more around you at the top of the swing. So you want to get this left arm more covering that right shoulder, and you want to make sure these hands are more around where your heels or ankles are, because then when you turn down the downswing, that club's going to nicely fall on path without you trying. And a fix for this is a drill with a long alignment stick. So get yourself a long alignment stick. The swing plate with extension pole attachment would be great. There's a discount code in the video description for one of these. And all you want to do, place the ball about halfway underneath and have this stick roughly around your right shoulder in height wise. So, okay, all I want to do from here is swing underneath this, and I'm going to have that more depth, and I'm going to be able to rotate a lot easier. But make sure when you're swinging underneath this, you're doing it via rotating and getting a turn in the backswing. A lot of the reasons why some golfers have that too vertical position at the top is because they're not getting any backswing rotation. You need to coil up in that backswing. Rotation, like we said, your hands and arms will follow your rotation. So if you rotate better in the backswing, the hands are going to get more around you. Absolutely brilliant way to add in that nice depth to get more rotation. This is a brilliant drill for it. So number 4, losing your hip depth in the backswing. So losing your hip depth, what does that mean? That means as you get up to the top of your swing, your right hip is moving forward closer to the golf ball. So if we move that right hip close to the golf ball, and again, I magically start to rotate, the club is now being pushed way too far out in front of me. It's moved the whole swing arc more forward. So what we generally see players do from here is, again, they'll just continue to move their pelvis forward, their upper body will move back, they'll early extend, which will get the hands and arms closer to them, so then they won't have that outward effect of that hip moving forward. So then they'll just stall out their rotation, big old flip, not going to work very nicely for you. Where what we want to do in the fix, we're going to want to have that right hip move back as we move back in that backswing. It's almost like someone's grabbing the right trouser pocket and just gradually pulling it back, getting more hip depth. Depth means more behind. So that's going to prime then you to get that left hip moving back. The pelvis is staying back, and it's so essential for rotation. Now my favorite drill for this is with a camping chair. And what we do with the camping chair, we just put it behind us, make sure it's touching just the top of our hamstrings here, and all we want to do then is make sure we're pushing this chair back in the backswing, and then we could also give it a good push back in the downswing. That's keeping the hip depth, and again, that's going to be fixing one of the reasons why we're not rotating in the downswing. So number 5, you are too steep in the downswing, especially the early downswing. So if we're a golfer who is steep in that early downswing, vertical shaft here, if again they magically rotate from here, they're going to present a very downward angle attack, of course, but very across, steep, swiping across the golf ball. Not going to hit the ball to your target doing that. So what we'll generally see players who have that steep shaft do when they can't rotate, again, they will either do a couple things. They could early extend, pelvis go forward, upper body go back. Because see what that does to the club shaft, shallows it. Or they could also have an excessive amount of side bend early. So where their upper body really side bends, you can see what does that do? That shallows the golf club later. Those are both going to stall out your rotation and stop you from turning. So for the fix wise, what we need to do, we need to get shallower as we start that downswing. Now we don't need a tremendous amount of shallowing, a little bit goes a long way, but we need that club shaft, that center of mass of the shaft here to start pitching behind us when we start that downswing. So having that movement is going to be really help you to be able to continue to turn. It's really something that massively is a requirement to be able to get good rotation, is a nice shallow shaft, because you can see as soon as I start to turn, I don't have to manage any other shaft angle stuff to be able to get that club onto the golf ball successfully. So the drill to do for it is something very, very simple. Just get an alignment stick, put it up the left-hand side of the golf club just like so, with a lot of it coming up here. Now we can see our shaft angle as we start that downswing. For steep golfers, that stick's going to point straight to the ground, and we want this stick just to start to point in front and have that good turn. So I'd recommend a lot of golfers to do this without a golf ball first, get the stick pointed in front and rotate. But once you do enough of those and you get brave enough, you could pause it at the top and then turn through the golf ball, getting the stick to point in front. Let's do one. And then you'll really start to feel that shallow shaft, and you have to turn doing that drill as well, because if you don't turn, the stick's gonna hit your side. You've got to turn to make sure the stick doesn't hit you before impact. Great drill. Now, number 6, losing your hip tilt in the downswing. So what I see a lot of players do, they will be bumping their hips forward to start that downswing. Very common, a lot of you are trying to do that. But what that does, that raises up the left side of your pelvis, making it higher than where it was at the top of the backswing. Now what that does, that makes it incredibly difficult to rotate, because when that hip tilt raises, left hip raising, you can see how the upper body immediately wants to fall behind there. So that then makes rotation incredibly difficult to achieve. This is why a lot of you who try to bump and turn get a lot of back pain, because that creates a ton of tension in that lower back. Not very good for being able to rotate if you want to keep your back healthy. So the fix we want to do here, you've got to remember, the golf ball is on the ground. That's why we need to be tilted to the golf ball. We want to keep that tilt in the downswing. So we need to keep this left side down as we start to turn. You can see already my upper body stays on top of my lower body, and I can just continue to turn going through there. So the drill to do is just with an alignment stick, and what you do with the alignment stick is you place it through your belt loops. Now what you do there, you pull a tiny bit coming out on the right. I really mean a tiny, tiny bit, and a lot of it coming to the left. Don't want to see that, because that's going to block your downswing. So just the tiniest bit there. And now we can visually see what our hip tilt is doing. So what we want to happen here, we want to have this left side, the long part of the stick, immediately in the downswing to go down and around and disappear. This is absolutely awesome of a rotation drill. I've done it tons myself. So stick to go down and around. Boom. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Hip tilt is so incredibly important. So many golfers, even very good golfers, are completely missing this part of it. Remember, you need to be tilted to the golf ball to be able to hit it and to be able to turn to keep the club on the arc. So there we go. There is the 6 reasons why you're not rotating in a downswing, and a fix for all of them. And also, if you want more information about rotation, there is a video course that I have called The Ultimate Guide to Rotation in the Downswing. There's a link for it down in the description. Everything you need to know about rotation, how to get it into your golf swing. Again, just like this, all the little problems you can have in the golf swing, and a tailored plan on exactly how to fix it for that individual. Awesome, awesome guide. The most in-depth guide to rotation out there. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too, to be notified every time I put out a video.